describe something that's really, really tasty? Do you say very tasty or very, very tasty? But does it really convey your message? If you keep using the word very in order to convey your exact emotion or to convey your message, it's not really always going to help. Very is an intensifier. It's a word that you use to emphasize on something. But today with me, Sonia, you are going to learn how to drop very from your conversation where it's not required and use much better words in your English vocabulary. So let's have a look together. The very first one, very beautiful. So what do you say when you see a very pretty girl walking down the road? You would tell your friend, well, you know what? I saw a very, very beautiful girl. But instead of that, you could just say, I saw a gorgeous girl walking down the road. Or, I saw a stunning model at the mall yesterday. So instead of just using the word very, in order to emphasize what you're trying to say, you could use words like gorgeous or stunning. They sound really good when you use them in a sentence. The next one here, very loud. You know, sometimes when we hear firecrackers that are burst, they are so loud. The sound is so very loud, right? But if you use a word like deafening, this word makes much more sense than just saying very loud. It actually conveys the exact message that you want to actually put across. So maybe in a sentence you could say, well, last night around 11, we heard a deafening sound in the backyard. So deafening can replace very loud. Next one here, very happy. This is very commonly used, right? Very happy, I'm very, very happy. But you can't always say the same thing every time. Instead of very happy, you could say elated. Yes, elated means to be very happy. So say if you are, you've participated in a competition and you put in all of your hard work and you won the first place. So how do you feel? You would feel elated instead of just saying very happy. So in a sentence you could say, well, I was so elated when I won the competition, I did not know how to express my emotions. The next one here. So if you can be very happy, you could also be very sad sometimes. So if you want to say very sad, instead of that, you could say something like depressed. I know the word is like that, okay? Depressed could be used in place of very sad. So say maybe if you have a friend who's recently broken up with his girlfriend, so you could say, well, you know what, my friend seems very depressed since his breakup. But you know what, if you have a friend like that, please tell them to move on. Time heals everything. The next one here, very confused. You don't know what to decide. Like I remember about a week ago, I wanted to buy a new phone. So I did some research and I checked a couple of models on the internet and I thought that I knew what I wanted to buy. But when I actually went to the phone shop, there were so many models on display and I was so very confused. I was really, really confused. Here, instead of saying very confused, I could simply say, I was baffled. Doesn't this word sound so cool? Baffled. So when I want to say it in a sentence, I could say, I went to buy a phone at a phone shop, but there were so many models on display that I was totally baffled and I just came back home without anything. The next one, very big, okay? So, in place of very big, you can use words like massive or gigantic. Yes, if you notice, if you just look at this word massive, it actually sounds much better than just saying very big. So I have a friend who has a really big bungalow in the countryside, but it's really huge. So maybe I could say my friend Chloe has a massive bungalow in the countryside. When I say massive, it really shows to me, and I mean to say very big. And finally, if I could say very big, I could also say very small. But what could I use in place of very small? I could simply say tiny, or I could say teeny tiny, or I could say minuscule. Okay? All these three words mean the same thing. They mean very small, like really small. So maybe in a sentence I could say something like, I need to pack this gift in a box, but the box is really tiny. The gift is not going to fit into it. Okay? Or the box is really teeny tiny. The gift is not going to fix into it. So this way, if you look at the words, you can use so many different words in place of just saying very. So for example, you could say gorgeous instead of very beautiful, or elated, look at this word, instead of very happy. In place of very confused, when you don't know what to do or you don't know an answer, you could sound really smart and say baffled, alright? Or in place of very big, you could say massive or gigantic. So friends, make sure that you use these new words that you've learned today in your day-to-day conversation. Don't sound boring and drop very in from your vocabulary where it's not required. I'm done with today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed watching. Make sure you keep practicing, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Hello and welcome to my new lesson. My name is Imelda, and this lesson will be useful to all those who are trying to learn English. You are probably at the beginner stage or at the intermediate stage. Want to know how? We will be talking about vocabulary. Now, you see, English has 4.5 million words. That's correct. Each year, approximately 25,000 words are added to your dictionary. It's practically impossible to learn all the words and their meanings. So today's lesson is all about trying to break the words and see or gain some clues out of those words, right? How are we going to do it? It's very simple. Every time you break the word will give you clues. Let's break a word. How about duration? Duration, the word dure has to do something with time. So during or duration has to do something with time. All right? That's what we have for today. So let's break the word. When we break the word, the first thing you see is a prefix. Prefix is that portion of the word that comes at the beginning of the word. So let's say if your word is like this portion will be your prefix. Let's take a look at a few examples. The first.
Hello, how are you? My name is Michelle. Welcome to the lesson. Thank you. I do not understand why people talk like this in English. This sounds so automatic, and this sounds just like a robot. This is how we have learned English in our schools, and sometimes we end up speaking like this, which sounds very unnatural and not so normal. So in this lesson with me, you're learning how to talk like a human being and sound more natural and not so fake. My name is Michelle, as I've already told you, and we are going to look at some words and phrases here, which I am going to change into more natural phrases.